Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's time for the post-match pint to Celtic 2, Dunfermline 1 after extra time at Celtic Park in the Betfred Cup. We've got a lot to get through tonight. We're also going to cover the fallout for Tuesday. We made a brilliant post-match pint on Tuesday, half an hour we spent in the Corinthian at 12 o'clock at night.
Nailed it.
Turned out it was corrupted files, we had an absolute nightmare with it, so we're going to get to Tuesday and the fallout from it as quickly as we can. I'm joined by Ryan and Scott once again. First of all, boys, we'll start with today, and that was a tough watch.
It was a very tough watch. Turgid. It was just one of those. The match started off, and everyone just looked shaky and nervous. The ball just wouldn't stick. They couldn't string passes together. Big Julian almost sold the jersey in the opening minutes, and it just looked like we were off the back of a really poor result during the week. It just looked like that was hanging high in the players' heads, and it really affected how we played. And certainly in the first half, probably more so than the second half. But it wasn't a glamorous tie. We didn't do what we should have done. We should have been even a bit leggy. We should have been able to put Dunfermline away convincingly today. I thought that was almost like a kick in. I thought that was a case of we get there today, no matter how good we performed, it wouldn't excuse what we're about to discuss for Tuesday. But going out there and performing the way we did today, alarm bells are ringing all over the place. Oh, it throws up more questions than answers, Scott, definitely. Do you think there was a bit of a hangover for Tuesday night, a bit of a sombre atmosphere? There certainly was in the crowd, but did you think the players were a bit off it as well, off the back of Tuesday?
Absolutely. I just think as soon as we started the game, you've got Bolly giving the ball away 3-4 times in the first 10 minutes. As you mentioned, Ryan, Julian putting the boy through in goal. I just feel like Dunfermline are obviously miles off it compared to Celtic, but they defended doggedly, and it looked like we didn't really have many ideas. And I saw at least 2 or 3 changes. So Neil Lennon's changing something for the sidelines, right? Especially towards the end of the game. And I'll tell you what, towards the end of the game, I guarantee we changed the game because we were playing from the corners and we were whipping balls in. That was the game plan. Cross the ball in. We don't have strikers to be on the end. Aye, that's never worked for us. It won't ever work for us unless we go out and sign, hitmen.
Hasn't worked since 1990. Ryan, obviously we're going to come to Tuesday night and all that stuff, but for all, we've started the season brilliantly domestically, and we've scored a lot of goals. Even Tuesday we scored 3 goals, 3 good goals, and looked good going forward. But you wouldn't believe that was the same team that played there today that's been in the first 2 domestic games. We almost looked like we could have went forward all year today and never really produced anything clinical in the final third. I think we were just, and Mikey Johnson's shot probably was a cross, right? Probably.
I don't think
looks
so.
like it was a cross, mate. It looks like it was a cross for Griffiths, right? So didn't celebrate it. Aye. So
I didn't celebrate it because we were playing or a joke.
But I think, mate, I think it's a cross, right? I think that's a cross. So I think it's a cross. I think that we just didn't look like we were going to produce anything at all. Jamesy come on, absolutely saved the blushes, saved the necks. Neil Lennon must be he must be sitting with sweats coming down his side of his cheeks, thinking, I can't believe that nearly happened. And I think that we just didn't look like we had anything in the final third today. Aye, by the way, delighted it never went to penalties, because I just think Celtic are murdered at penalties. The penalty record last year was absolutely terrible, and penalty shootouts are never good. James Forrest did spare the blushes, Scott, and in the second half. Well, first of all, to come to the team, I thought we'd have seen a wee bit more changes than we'd ended up seeing. Neil Lennon did say yesterday, though, there was only going to be maybe 1 or 2 because he wanted the guys who were in form to keep playing. But we really, despite the fact that it was the same team, it wasn't like we were creating and missing a load of chances. We just, as you say, we were going from side to side, and we were maybe overplaying it at times, and it was just, we were crossing it from one end to the other, and we just really struggled for a spark today. I thought we were crying out for a catalyst and actually a leader. I don't think there was a leader on that part today. Sometimes Ayer steps in there, sometimes Christie steps in there, and if that's the vacuum that Scott Brown leaves when he's not on the team, then we're in real trouble, because there's got to be a time where somebody's got to take the mantle and take over for Scott Brown in terms of leadership, in terms of getting the guys going. I feel that
that game was crying out for some sort of 50-50. Scott Brown goes into, and then it gets everybody up, and it kind of causes a bit of momentum. We didn't get that today. We didn't get it at all. There was a couple of people who I thought were okay, had pass marks, but the rest of the team were just way below it. Serious hangover, lack of energy, and not great to watch at all.
No, it wasn't great to watch at all. And yeah, interesting you touch on Brown. We've all said it, and we've heard it from all quarters, that this season Scott Brown should be gradually managed out of the team. We did see him rested today, but we need planning. Planning is what we need, and
succession, contingency.
Aye, like forward planning. That's what we need to try and replace Scott Brown. Scott Brown should be replaced already. There shouldn't be any who's going to replace Scott Brown, or we'll need to replace Scott Brown when the time comes. Scott Brown should be replaced already, and that's not because we're chucking him out of the team. It's because we're planning forward and we're gradually introducing his replacement. But we'll come on to that when we talk about Tuesday. James Forrest was introduced into the game, and it did give us a bit more impetus today, and he got the goal. Do you think that was the spark we needed? Christie struggled today, Edward struggled today. They were both brilliant on Tuesday night. They looked like different players today. I thought Christie really struggled. He let a ball go under his foot in the first 10 minutes. He put a couple of passes out the park. I remember when he tried to play ball and goalie and down the left hand side, and he played out the park. I just thought even the top performers that we've come to rely on already this season, they just weren't at it at all today.
I think we spoke about Christie and Edward did not deserve to be in the losing team on Tuesday, right? See, today both of them looked miles short of where they were on Tuesday. How does that happen? How does a player's head go down that far that they go from being, without question, the two best in the team, the energy, the creativity, the flair, the expansiveness, the link up, the nothing today? And Christie, I'm Christie's biggest fan. Everybody knows that, right? I'm Ryan Christie's biggest fan. Today he was nowhere. He was found wanting too many times. He just didn't have that zing that he usually has to his game. He wasn't, even when he was trying to close down players and make challenges, he was missing. I don't know, something was just missing today.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's enough for today, because we've got so much to cover, and I want to get on to Tuesday and the fallout for Tuesday, much of which will have continued over from today's performance. As I say, we recorded a post-match pint that covered all of this, but we didn't get it to you. We're not going to go over Tuesday's game in any detail. You know what happened in it. You know how the game went. You know that we should have won. We were in the command of the game and the tie twice, and it didn't happen. But why have we entered these ties once more with gaps in the squad that we've known about for months? Like Legia Warsaw, like Maribor, like Molde, like AEK Athens, and now Cluj. Why do we keep entering these ties with glaring issues in the squad every season?
Negligence. I've said it before, right, and I'll say it again. You have to speculate to accumulate. You've got to strengthen from a position of power. When you're in power, you've got to strengthen and look to take the team forward. There's got to be contingency and succession planning for the best players in the team. It's like the board are playing Jenga with the club just now. It's like they're pulling out the strongest pillars and just looking to see when it collapses. They're not replacing it. They're not intentionally looking to build and grow the team to be something better. And I think the biggest signal and indication of that was that we did not look outside Neil Lennon for the successor to the previous manager. It was Neil Lennon who was given it, because that was the easy option, that was the cheap option, and that was absolute lack of ambition. And that banner today says it all, right, because what we're looking at just now is absolute gambling on 9. The banner said 10 in a row. We're gambling on 9 in a row at the moment, and that is scary. We were so far out in front, and we have absolutely failed to do the bare minimum, which is just strengthen from that position of power.
I think that's the real crime in itself, that we're in this situation now where we're starting the 9 in a row season, and it's the worst. This is potentially the worst state we've been in over the course of the previous 8 or 9 years. And Scott, when you look at Tuesday's game, and obviously people will say, I've even heard some people saying, but it was the manager's fault because the team selection should have been better. It was the players' fault, they could have played better, they were in control of the game, they should have won it. But those points might all have merit. But at the end of the day, when you look back and you can see a pattern over 4 years, over 6 years, there's systematic problems here that the club aren't addressing.
Absolutely. They talk about strategy quite a lot, right? So I'm not going to say there's not a strategy.
All they do is talk about it.
I assume a £100 million PLC has a strategy, but is the strategy working, or are you efficient at executing the strategy? Is it the right strategy? So I think the answer to that is no. Football's a game where you can make unbelievable, if you look at it in a business sense, which I think the board do, and rightly so.
You think, mate?
Rightly so. At certain times and some other times you've really got to strengthen the squad and only think about what we need in the park. The amount of money that we've made from assets that have came from the academy, that have came from European clubs and we've bought them for pennies, like Dembele or Van Dijk, depends how far back you want to go. We're quite good at turning nothings into somethings, right? We could never have afforded somebody the likes of Callum McGregor. If we were to buy that player on the open market, we could never have afforded him or Kieran Tierney. So we've got a great academy which I think has carried us through. Do you know what I mean? I think has carried us through. We've got another great talent in Aya. But we're not strengthening when we lose these players. What's yet to see? We've got 2 weeks left. We need a left back.
That, yeah.
We're desperate for a left back. Is it going to happen? We might get this guy Melling. Look, in terms of strategy, is it working? I don't think so. I don't think Peter Lawwell should stay much longer if this is the way that we're going to be.
Yeah.
This is the way we're going to continue to lose a £25 million player, replace him with a £1 or £2 million player. We can't always gamble that we're going to get a diamond in the mud. Sometimes you just need to spend and get a guaranteed dead cert player.
Yeah, well, see what I want to touch on, right? It comes down to this when there's these systematic problems where we keep getting put out by clubs who we shouldn't be getting put out by. You go to Tuesday and you've heard it probably again and again that our wage bill was more than the whole remaining league put together. We shouldn't be getting be these teams. Your Maribors, your Molde, your AEK Athens. We have so much more resources than them, and we're such a bigger club, and there's no excuses for going out at this stage that we keep going out at. So I think you can only look at that. You can only look at that and go, the board are either negligent or incompetent. It's one. They're either. I mean, they've got to be able to see these things. They've got to be able to see them. So they're incapable of dealing with them. That's what the evidence shows in the past 6 years. We've made the group stages twice. The twice where we've made it, yes, brilliant to make it. We were clinging on in Beersheva, clinging on. And then we went to Astana with a 5-0 lead, and there was a 15-20 minute spell where, again, it was squeaky bum time, we were clinging on. The times where we've been put out, those 4 times we've been put out, to your Maribors and your Moldes and your Cluj and your... It's not like we've been this away for going through. Certainly not in Athens last year. No. And the score ends up 4-3 on Tuesday. Like, it's 5-4 in aggregate. Cluj were already going through without the 4th goal. Like, we are miles off competing. We're miles off even getting anywhere near the Champions League, and that's because they're either willfully negligent or incompetent. Willfully negligent, and the reason I say that is, and I'm not pulling punches here, right? Because it's successive systemic failings that we see over and over and repeated. Like, history repeats itself, right, and it just continues to do so at Celtic Park. When you look at what's happened with, you've listed these teams, we should not be going out to them. The problem is that we are looking at, and not we collectively, we, the board, the powers that be at the club, are looking at, let's do the minimum that it will take to win 9 and 10 in a row. Let's bring in the people that will deliver 9 and 10 in a row, hopefully, and let's not worry about ambition. Let's not worry about driving the club forward in the European competition. Let's not worry about having to think about investing that level of money. Let's not worry about having to scout that level of player. It can't be happening, or we would have that level of player coming into the club if they were willing to, and they know that has to be the strategy in Europe. They watch teams like Ajax, and we've gone over the teams that are outperforming the turnover that they produce, and they're outperforming it because the strategy's there. You will just tell them about Lawwell's part of the UEFA whatever. The Professional Football Strategy
right?
Action Committee for restructuring the Champions League.
He knows. So it's negligence for me, absolute negligence, and it has to change. And the only way it will change is when we create a bigger power than what they are. And it just has to change because it's broken.
Yeah, the thing, there's this myth as well, Scott, that it gets peddled out every season that we gamble with the qualifiers and we wait and see until we qualify for the Champions League before we invest the money. That's a myth, because even when we qualify, we don't invest the money. I don't ever remember a season where we eventually qualified and then we seen the right investment. And not only the right investment, because we've all talked positively about Julian coming in this summer and Bolingoli, and that was a great start. See, since January we've signed Bayo, Shved, Julian, Luca Connell, Bolingoli and El Ahmed. One of them played on Tuesday night.
The biggest game of the season.
Aye.
Biggest game of the season. Good.
One of the cheapest ones in the biggest game of the season, with all the squad issues that have been plain to see for months and months, and almost all the last season. Further back if you want to go there, we had one new player playing on Tuesday night. Where do we go for here? Where the problem is not the strategy, it's the lack of strategy, because I don't know, the club like to talk about being a Champions League club, but there's no theme in the recruitment, and then we spend the money on Julian and we spend the money in Bolingoli, and we've laid out £13 million so far this summer. It's not so much the money. Even when we're spending money, it doesn't look like we're investing it properly. We're not getting value for money. So the strategy from beginning to end looks wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, as you're talking about the party line was, let's wait till the end of the qualifiers. Not only is the window in England closed, so we can kind of have a bit of negotiating position there. We're not up against the English. Exactly, up against the English teams with the big money.
Where we have all our scouts.
Then we can kind of show to the players, look, we're going to be in the Champions League, come to the Champions League team. I understand that, but that's too late. That's panic buy. What's 2 weeks? That's panic buy City.
And as Paul's just mentioned, like even when we do make the Champions League group stages, we don't. I can't remember anybody coming in that made a big difference.
The excuses are, we try to get those deals over the line, we didn't have enough time, and whatever it is. It's not brilliant, and I think the structure of the football club maybe needs to change, because as we were talking about during the week, it's not really how European clubs seem to set up. And somebody who's been in the job for, 15 years?
17 18 years.
It's going to get stagnant. Things get boring. You get used to the norm, and I think something fresh is probably warranted at this point in time for both parties.
But absolutely, that's plain for everybody to see. I think the average CEO lasts 5 or 6 years. Now we know football's different, and Celtic, by all accounts from the outside looking in, are having a great period of domestic success. But at the end of the day, Peter Lawwell has been there guiding the club effectively. We know that he holds the main power in terms of running the club day to day. That's his job. He gets paid handsomely. He gets paid more money than anybody else in Scottish football just about to do so. He's been there for 17 years, and you can say, the club is in a good financial footing, and that's fair enough. The balance sheet is good. We're not in any danger of going out of business, but that same way of running the club has cost us £100 million in the last 6 years. So where does it eventually become, like, in what other business would somebody who had missed out on that amount of money by mismanagement, where would they still be in their job?
No, categorically not. And you said there we're not in any danger of getting business. We're also not in any danger of becoming a bigger or a better team. No danger. So that has to be addressed, because as we heard in the full-time reaction, as we always say, we are some of the best supporters in the world. Like, we turn up there week in, week out, regardless of what's happening. We back the team, and when that happens, and we're always forking it, and we're always backing the club, and we're always putting our money where our mouth is, it's about time then that we address what's happening on the pitch, instead of a beautiful stadium and beautiful lights and beautiful hotels being built and all that sort of stuff. Like, how about changing what's happening in the team and progressing with a bit of ambition as a football club?
Yeah, Scott, I want to get towards rounding this up, right, but here's what I have to say. This needs to be sustained. This energy and the support has to be sustained. There's not any... The problem that we have now is 10 in a row is the thing. It's the thing that we all want. We all want it. It's the record. It would be phenomenal. But we can't let any domestic success lull us back into this false sense of security that the club's moving in the right direction, because it isn't. And every summer we get reminded that it isn't. So this has to be sustained. Okay, we don't want to go batter them down the door in the car park and destabilising the club or anything like that, but there needs to be a sign that this is unacceptable, because it's Groundhog Day every single season.
I know it's a very hard thing to nail to the wall, right? Because we've had brilliant success over the last 3 years as a club, right? And we have had a good start to the season, minus this week, right? So yes, the signings haven't been brilliant, and we're having a bad week. But on the other side of the fence, people are going to be saying, we've just won a treble. We could win another treble.
But I would argue,
could win another treble. And why would we... You're looking into the future and saying it's not going to happen. I'm guaranteeing you the future, and everybody else is going to say, well, I'm guaranteeing you the past. And Peter Lawwell's done it in the past, and Neil Lennon's got us over the line last year. And do you know what annoys me is that the support is split. That's what's most annoying about the appointment. I think the board knew that was going to split the fans.
That's why it was unveiled about 3 minutes after the cup final, mate.
The PR was terrible. The
Ridiculous.
PR was unbelievable.
It was a slap in the face, as we said at the time.
And I hate that the fans are split, and it's causing... I mean, after 2 bad games under the previous manager, there'd be nowhere near this level of reaction. But if you look at Twitter, it's unbelievable. So it's a powder keg. And 2 bad games, and we're having these kind of conversations.
Absolutely. And do you know why? It's because everybody knew that in any other world where the circumstances of Rodgers leaving weren't what they were, nobody would ever have been crying for Neil Lennon to get the job.
Never.
And I said it at the time, it's an absolute slap in the face, and I get massively criticised for the way I spoke about Neil Lennon and how I didn't want him to get the job. At the back end of last season, there was people in the comments saying I'm jeopardising the treble and all this because I didn't think he was the right man for the job. And that what you're coming back to there is we've had 2 games and then it's like a powder keg. That's because people know. Like, it was plain for everybody to see. It's almost like you're looking at the game on Tuesday and the game today, and what Neil Lennon said in his press conferences, like, very worrying things like, I'm not very big in stats, but we had more possession and more shot. It's 2019 and we've got a manager that's not big on stats. I feel like football has passed him by in a certain way, and it's almost, you can look at now and go, oh, if only there was a 2 or 3 months testing period where we could have seen Neil Lennon's team and then decided whether he was the right man or no. Well, we had that, and the board could not wait to appoint him without doing any recruitment process.
Aye, it's almost embarrassing. We sit here, right, Scott, and you said it's 2 bad games in a week, so it's a bad week. But this is a culmination of failings over 6 years. This is not Neil Lennon's. He walked in there, right, to fill in a gap. He was a gap filler. He was the man that we could rely on to come back and hopefully deliver, which he did, the treble, which we're all grateful and thankful for, because again, history was made. However, he was not the man to lead the club forward, and if you sit there and say that you believe that he was, then I'm of the opinion then that he would have had to gone away and done something much bigger in his career to come back here a far improved manager, so he could advance the club in Europe, advance the club on a domestic level, and he just wasn't that man. So sitting there and saying Neil Lennon is definitely the man for the job to take the club forward, he was never. Neil Lennon was the man to come in and do a job for us. We should have done a recruitment process. There's failings at board level, and that's what it comes down to. That's the powder keg that's here, the board level failings, not Neil Lennon, not the week of results.
Yeah, and you know why that powder keg sort of atmosphere is there? It's because everybody knew deep down, other than maybe a small percentage of ardent Neil Lennon supporters, because we all love what he's done for the club, and there's some people who just can't see by him. We all knew deep down that he wasn't the right man for the job. Like, it was plain as the nose in your face, and there's a reason that news half an hour after the cup final deflated everybody, and the board decided to charge head on with appointing him, and here we are now. And we've been positive. I agree that at the start of the season you've got to put everything that you think to one side and back the team, because that's what you do as a supporter. But we cannot be surprised when these results come up that this sort of powder keg thing happens and everybody explodes, because it's right there. It's right there underneath the surface, because we know that Neil Lennon probably wasn't the right man to take the club forward.
Aye, it's tough to talk negatively on Neil Lennon, because see if I could pick anybody to win 10 in a row, it'd be him. It wouldn't be Brendan Rodgers, or it wouldn't be Jose Mourinho. I couldn't care less. If I could pick somebody to lift 10 in a row, it'd be Neil Lennon. The question isn't do we love him, the question is can he get us to 10 in a row. And at the end of the day, not one of us here knows, we've just got our opinions. And it's not looking brilliant this week. Last week it was looking rosy, this week it's not looking brilliant. And the thing that really pisses me off is just that the fans are now split, and no matter what, the club are going to be a step behind where we should be, because like you're saying, there's all this under the surface and it's not going to help the club at all. So where do we go?
Well, listen, this is what I said, and I said in April and in May I said it, if the board don't know that this appointment will divide the fans, then they are not good at their job. They've got no awareness of how the fans feel. But as Peter Lawwell told us triumphantly in his press conference at the Scottish Cup final, that's irrelevant.
Yep, 100%. And Scott, and again, this is a week, right? Neil Lennon could swing it back around again. I'm still absolutely certain that he's not the man to take the club forward. He's not the man of that ambition that we might have to go into the Champions League. He's not the man of building on what we had. He's not the man to build on that. We could still swing around, and again, these conversations will still be under that undercurrent that Paul's talked about there. It's still going to be there, and I just feel that something has to change. Something has to change.
It does. We'll round it up there. That's all we've got time for tonight. We'll be back on Tuesday night with the starting 11 prediction for the AIK Stockholm Europa League qualifier, and then all the content after that game on Thursday night at Celtic Park. Thank you for watching. Like the video, comment with your own thoughts on all the fallout for Tuesday and today below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We're chasing 18,000 now. We're almost a quarter of the way there, so click subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you on Tuesday for the build up to AIK. Thank you.